Good evening and welcome to SAFC Fancast, the Jägermeister Cup edition post game. We also got to clean up some matches that happened prior to that. But before I introduce everybody here, let me do a little bit of housekeeping as far as for the first one here, because as I mentioned, we are trying to give some props to local people or local businesses. For tonight, the first segment is going to be sponsored by the Mike Taylor's Barbecue Cook-Off. Royce is a huge advocate of this and participates, volunteers for that. Here it is, Saturday, May 17th, from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. If you go on to give.salvationarmy.texas.org, or if you just Google Mike Taylor's Barbecue Cook-Off, you can pull it up. It is going to be it's going to benefit the Peacock Red Shield Youth Center. If you do have questions, you can call 210-672-2910. And if you do, I know Royce mentioned that they are really trying to get the barbecue plate, which is barbecue chicken, leg, quarter, sausage, rice, beans, and all the fixings. $10, and you can pick up between 11 and 3 p.m. On the day, and also the entry ticket is $15 if you want to get in. If you want to do VIP, where you get access to the VIP tickets, $25. And if there is still a barbecue team, if you have a barbecue team and you'd like to enter, $150 get your team in, and there is excuse me, 5 categories: brisket, chicken, pork, spare ribs, beans, and cook's choice, non-specialty. So thank you to Royce for all that you do for the show here. We're happy to kind of help support you and all that you do for Mike Taylor and the Salvation Army. Moving back to us, let me do the introductions. Jonathan, where have you been? You've been out and about?
Yeah, I mean, up until about a week ago, we had taken a trip to Nebraska for SAFC's match against Union Omaha. First time we'd ever been up there. We had a decent amount of things that we found to do. Could probably find a few more if we're ever back up there. Maybe in subsequent years if SAFC's playing there in Jägermeister Cup or something. But no, I mean, it wasn't a bad trip or anything, other than for if you're of an SAFC fan persuasion, the result. But we made the most of that trip.
Matt, you have something to celebrate. You beat Broccoli. Blew them out 2-0. Kind of unexpected. Congrats. How was your away trip to Houston, which is kind of that farthest distance that you'll ever go?
It was fun. Got to meet up with a lot of the guys from the Surge and the Texan Army. So
what about the Stampede? Did you see any of the Stampede guys?
No. What's his name? Reyes didn't get to go. So
Michael. Yeah.
Yeah, he wasn't able to go. He had work, but other than that, it was great. It was fun. Had a great time. Took Dylan to his first MLS game.
I'm sorry.
He loved it. He wants to go back. So
here's where we're gonna make a turn. Rafa, is Real Madrid gonna win any cups this year?
Yeah, not with all the injuries. I mean, it's like what Shone Mead said it. He's kind of said it best. They celebrate when we lose, but I mean, who got swept last year? Yeah. So it happens, but there will be a new coach. They already did announce it. Probably gonna. I think I wouldn't be surprised it'll be Jurgen Klopp. That's the rumor. But also that's Javi Alonso's the other one. Those are probably the two. But there's going to be an interim coach for the Club World Cup. I think it's probably going to be Raul or Solari. So which would be cool because those two guys actually are part of Real Madrid, former players. So they got some coaching experience. But overall, like I said, I tried to go watch a game last night at the Rock as advertised, and lo and behold, there was nothing on the screen. I'm like, Okay.
Oh shit! I didn't know that. Well, I didn't. They didn't even advertise it though, right?
They advertised it, but it wasn't publicly. It was on their
It was
event
on the
list.
website. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm. Well, that sucks.
I gotta grab with them.
Yeah, that's not cool if they're setting up saying, "Hey, come out," because there's people that probably, maybe not a huge distance from the side of town that you live in. Because I know I even asked you, "Hey, did you want to put together a watch party for this?" And you're like, "No, I'm going to the Rock," and so I just checked out. Although the first half was kind of a snoozer for that here. So let's get to transactions for that here, since we got intros out of the way. First one here, Dylan Mendoza was signed to a USL Academy contract. He was on the USL Academy Finals All-Tournament second team selection in December, and he'll be joining St. Mary's to take records away from Robert. Can you believe Robert still holds records at St. Mary? Although he's not a goalkeeper, but we can still credit him. But that's how good Dylan is, or how bad Robert is. For that here, the other big one, Jorge Hernandez, 150 appearances in USL Championship. Some with SanAntonio FC, some with LA Galaxy 2, Los Dos back at the time. For that here. Jonathan, we'll start with you, the media person. Any thoughts? Anything more since I've stole all your notes?
I mean, it's fine. I do them as a communal thing. We can all use them and work off of them. Academy signing for SAFC, kind of a random one. It just popped up out of nowhere at about 5 p.m. on, I want to say last Tuesday, maybe, something like that. So good for Dylan. It's, if nothing else, I'd say a little feather in his cap that he was given this contract, this opportunity. We were talking before we came on whether, how much it really matters. He does get to, I guess, be part of at least some rosters if SAFC wants to put him on the bench, particularly at home where you have those 2 extra slots for young academy players. Like you said, he goes to St. Mary's in the fall, so he's got 3-ish months, maybe 3 or 4 months to potentially do something with SAFC. Whether he gets a look in, we'll find out. But SAFC obviously sees something in him. They wanted to reward him for that, reward him for what he's been working on in his 4 or 5 years or so in the academy. And then with Jorge, 150 appearances, pretty neat. Like I said, he marked it with a goal and an assist on Wednesday as part of a tale of two halves, as we'll get into later. And it's kind of funny because they asked him about it after the match. What does it mean, 150 appearances? Do you really care much about that? And he was like, honestly, not really. So man of few words, I suppose. He's not getting caught up in the occasion or anything. Just show up every game, try and do his best, and move on to the next one, win, lose, or draw.
Well, an interesting fact. Let me ask you a question, Jonathan. You may know this. How many academy players did we have last year, and how many academy kids do we have signed this year?
I don't know the numbers off the top of my head. Last year, I'm going to say they signed 8, and this year we're at 4-ish.
Both are wrong. You're close on one. Matt, you have one?
Wasn't it 5 last year and about
It was about
5 or 6
6,
this
right?
year? Yeah, 6.
It was like 6 last year. 6 or
I thought it was
7.
5.
So last year they had a total of 10.
Oh,
Yeah, Jake Solis, Andres Bacho, Isaiah Garza, Adrian Valencias, Landry Walker, who is kind of a big mystery where he's at, Eduardo Fernandez, Mateo Gonzalez, Giovanni Padilla, Brandon Gangora, who's also on this one, and Daniel Osuna for that here. The interesting thing is they had on March 8th, they had already a total of 5. They had already signed their 5 players, and then on May 8th, they signed another grouping of 5, and I think that was an Open Cup where they signed those other 5 to USL Academy contracts. This year, they signed 2 on March 7th, Brandon Gregoria and Sebastian Ceruliti, and I know I chopped up his name, a defender, and then on April 22nd they signed Dylan. So they only have 3 so far this year. Historically, if you look, normally they have the full 5. So it'll be interesting. To me, the interesting one is Landry Walker, because he is a prized prospect in the system if he's still in there. So not to go deep on the academy for that here. We didn't really touch a whole lot on this because it happened on April 15th, 12 days ago. Open Cup. Jonathan, you want to tell us what happened?
Yeah, so the long and short of it is, because it's been almost 2 weeks at this point, SAFC loses 1-0 away to Union Omaha. You could see some cracks forming just in that first half, some nervy moments at the back, and eventually Omaha was able to capitalize, pounce on one of them. I'll just say a couple notes on this. This is the first time SAFC has ever been quote-unquote cup set before, losing to a lower division team. They have a pretty poor record against just fellow professional teams from USL. So that's not great. And also the first time this season that SAFC failed to score. So not a great night.
And that ended a 3-game, or that was the 3rd loss in a row following Phoenix Rising, the Miami, and Union Omaha for that here. So, Matt, Rafa, any thoughts on the Open Cup? I know it was short, sweet, away. Nobody got to see it. Nobody will remember it.
I just don't think they take U.S. Open Cup seriously. I mean, especially last year's fiasco with the MLS teams and all that, and I think it's really kind of lost its prestige. Like, I don't really care. I guess, like I said, all the lower divisions don't really care about it. So, and that's, like I said, it's one less game they have to worry about playing. I think they're more focused on the season, and also, I guess, with the Jaeger Cup too, our kind of our own USL domestic cup. I think those are the focus more. So, I think I could say, hey, less time on the road, more time to prepare for our USL games.
Matt?
I mean, it is what it is. Just hopefully we can start just focusing more on the Jaeger Cup and the USL Cup, and we'll see where we go from here.
So the next match that we're going to talk about was against the Switchbacks last Wednesday, right? I think it was CBS Sports game for that here. Jonathan, if you'll kind of lead us into the injury report, kind of your thoughts on the initial lineups along those lines.
Yeah, so first of all, with the injury report, and that actually makes me realize I did leave something out with Union Omaha.
Go ahead.
Yeah, well, I mean, it just kind of transitions into injury report every game, so it can go for any one of them. But that match against Omaha, you had Mitchell Tainer still on the report, and Jake LaCava and Reese Buckmaster added, and you got 3 names on there. As I said that night, that's kind of when it started to look more like a typical SAFC injury report. It was weird. We knew it was too good to be true, having one person or sometimes even nobody on the injury report for a couple weeks there. Going into this match against the Switchbacks, LaCava and Buckmaster were still there. Tainer was back, which I think everyone would say was a pretty good thing. Yeah, it helped SAFC, if nothing else, for morale purposes for the fans. In his place, Alexis Suai was added to the list, so one center back out for another. So there's that. And like I alluded to earlier, tale of two halves. SAFC concedes in the 21st and 42nd minutes. In both cases, it was kind of a They get carved up on the right side, and then the switchbacks cut a ball back into the box, and lo and behold, it ends up in the net. Not a great return to the lineup for Mitchell Tainer. I will say, not necessarily that it was his fault, but they did both kind of come on the side of the defense he's supposed to be part of. So maybe a bit of a readjustment problem there. So I'll stop there because, like I said, Tale of Two Halves. We may want to discuss this in two segments.
Yeah, so the lineup was Richard, Juan Sebastian, Alex C, Mitch, Nelson, Jimmy, Amir, Jorge, Luke, Andres, and Alex G, according to the starting lineup. And it came out basically with, was it a 4-3-3? Is that what you'd say? With Osorio, Tainer, Canali.
Yeah, 4-3-3.
Nelson Blanco, then Madranda, Soto, Hernandez. And then up top, you had Hankinson, Paderas, and Grieve in the 9 for that here. So first half, I'll just say it wasn't good. I was not there because AJ, unfortunately, he's been sick all week, but UA took him to the hospital that day, so I couldn't just justify, hey, I'm going to go to the game. So I don't have that many points to burn up for that here. So to me, watching it at home, the crowd looks small. FTC, the supporters section, FTC, the 210 Alliance. You could hear them through there, but it just didn't seem like a very energetic crowd over the TV for that here. And to be honest, at least in my view, the play wasn't very inspiring of anything from a SanAntonio aspect here. But Matt, I think you were there, right, Matt? Or
yeah, me and Rafa over there.
I know Rafa was there because, well, Rafa made the TV, because Rafa's the new Robert, dude. It's like, oh, let's get that guy with the nice goatee.
Robert walks off. Robert walks off every now and then.
He was out getting his $2 hot dogs.
Yeah.
We'll keep it family friendly. I'll say he was getting his beverages.
As I said, he's got his $2 hot dogs. Yeah.
So, your guys' thoughts on the first half?
I mean, when you lose 3 in a row, you have a lot of low confidence on the team, and it carried over to the first half, and they were just not playing with any effort or.
Yeah, you mentioned that. That's right. You did mention that on a text that they didn't have any. They did not have any effort. Good call. Yeah, I do remember you telling me that. And I was like, all right.
Yeah, there was just like no effort. They're just kind of running through the motions and stuff. And granted, remember, Yamosa was not on the bench too. He was sitting out on suspension from the game previous to that. But
he was in the booth.
Yeah, he was in the booth, maybe with the radio and all that. But you can tell something wasn't right. They were just not very, and I know we kind of got on their ass too, like, hey, what the heck's going on? And, and that happens when you're in a losing streak. Like I said, sometimes things don't go right for you. You have a mental block, and basically you're like in quicksand. You just can't, you're trying to get out, but you can't. And that was basically the first time. Those goals given away, I mean, they were cheap goals.
Matthew Real in the 21st minute, and Justin Dillon, who SAFC did highlight, scored in the 42nd, and probably one of his easiest goals that he'll have. Just it was almost like they were unmarked in the box, using a basketball term, or I guess that's not a basketball term, but just they crossed it over and defense didn't shift or whatever. Just it was too easy.
they were sticking to their defensive assignments, and they were called ball watching. They made it very easy for a Colorado team that really isn't that good, and you can
Yeah,
tell that they just, I don't know. Like I said, even with Mitch in there, you kind of thought, hey, maybe we get things more organized, but that wasn't the case. And going into the locker room, I'm sure they had a real serious talk and a butt chewing too about the whole situation, about the effort and so forth. And the thing is not sticking to your defensive game plan because, like I said, anybody could have probably scored those goals, like just tapping them in, and it's just like, what's going, is this going to be another route like we had the last couple of games that we're not going to get out of it? But something was said at halftime, and we'll just leave it as that when we get to the next segment.
Matt, any thoughts from you?
I mean, yeah. I mean, I feel like the supporters we just went in just as usual. We all kept the vibe up. We went down the 2 goals and we just kept it going. We did add in 2 trumpets, so I think that's what kept us going a little bit
Mm-hmm.
more. I was told that you could hear it on the stream.
Yeah,
So,
like and that's why I was saying from the supporters' view, it sounded great, but when you were watching it, just the fans, it just
yeah, they were unengaged.
it just
You saw some of
they
them,
were there. It was just okay.
but I mean, it was great until it was all right, and then once we started scoring, then everybody started. You saw the vibe pick up, and everybody was being more engaged with us and the game. So it was a lot of fun, and I'm just I'm just glad they did what they had to do.
Jonathan, you want to tell us what happened in the second half where instead of frowns, we walk out with a big old happy face?
Yeah, well, first of all, between the first half and the second, Rafa even alluded to it. Must have been
There were subs.
some subs. No, that's not what I was going to say.
Cool.
So, some crazy halftime team talk, I guess, because it was night and day, that SAFC team before and after. But we asked about that post game, and Freddie Herrera, who is basically the acting head coach with Yomosa suspended, said, as a staff, we told them we were okay with the way they were playing. And basically the idea was like, you're executing the strategy, you just need some more intensity behind it, that kind of thing. It just feels a little weird given how that first half went to say, yeah, we're okay with what you guys are doing. It's like, you need to be
So reverse psychology.
maybe. I think you need to chew them out a little bit. Say like, listen, the analogy that I've kind of thought of is it's like a microwave. You can put 2 minutes on the timer, but if you don't start it, it doesn't matter. In the same sense, if you have this style that you really like, that you feel like the players are executing, but you're not putting the effort behind it, you're not using your energy for it, what's the point? So it's just kind of a weird thing to say for me.
Actually, if you're in like the Hispanic culture, you're kind of used to that because you could do something really superb. You think you're doing something right, and if you have a parental or a higher figure that you admire, and they go, "Oh, you're doing all right," and they walk off, like you're like, "But I'm doing everything you said," so you have to step it up and do better. So that's how I took it a little bit, just from that background. But I mean, you're not wrong. They from what they execute as much as possible, but to me, yeah, that line, I don't know.
But I think the changes did, because there were changes at the 46th minute at half where Luke came off, Lucio Barran came on, Juan Osorio came off, and Mohamed Omar came on, which we'll get to, proved out to be very beneficial. So they may have said things were okay, but they made changes, and it worked. We got to give them credit that they did come out. They made some changes. I think with Omar coming in for Juan Osorio, I wonder who slid over. Oh, Jimmy Madrona moved over, right? Moved back to the fullback. Put Omar back up as one of the defensive mids. and then Lucio Baron came in for Hackinson for that here. Your thoughts on the second half, them coming out there, Rafa?
I think those changes. I think tactically they saw something that maybe those players would execute well. My thing is Jimmy's a lot better playing on the outside.
Mm-hmm.
When you put him in, he's kind of out of his element. If the games that we've seen ever since like that Corpus game that we went to see, he does a lot of damage from the outside defense, like that winger spot or outside back, and it frees him up to do a lot of things. I was a little surprised Omar came in, but like I said, Omar, he didn't get much playing from last year because of the injury. But like I said, he's a decent. The games that he did play prior to that, he wasn't as a really bad holding it, and he did a lot of dirty work prior to that injury. And then I think they just need a little spark from a younger player that was a lot more hungrier, and all of a sudden they flipped the switch and they basically blitzkrieg Colorado and kept them very kept them unbalanced the whole game. They weren't in the rhythm anymore, and SAFC was kind of pushing until finally we got that first goal in, and you can tell once we got that first goal, it basically changed the momentum of that game, and it just, like I said, they just didn't stop from there.
Jonathan, you want to talk to us about Jorge's goal in the 51st minute?
Yeah, so, I'll just say I don't even know how much of it was the tactical changes, but just adding that intensity to the way they played. You talk about Jorge, something he mentioned after the match was when they actually press, they tend to do a lot better. And that's obviously something that was more of a hallmark of the previous teams, but this team showed that it can do it too. And hey, it worked out. So 51st minute, though, that's when the comeback starts. Jorge takes a shot from the top of the box, took a deflection somewhere in there, a little fluky, but sometimes luck is going your way, and you just have to roll with that. And SAFC did, because 7 minutes later, having to read.
Well, before then, because there's something that happened before then. Red card to Matthew Real in the 56th minute. I thought it was kind of an orange tackle, because when the ref originally was going to issue, looked at, had the yellow in hand, went and looked at, because it was a slide tackle that was high. And I think where they, went and looked at the SAFC player, then came out with the red card. So Matthew Real, who had scored the first goal in the 21st minute, was sent off. So SAFC was down a goal, up a man in the 56th minute, and then in the 58th minute, Jonathan?
Yeah, 58th minute, SAFC gets a corner, set piece, and finds its way to Mohamed Omar. He heads in. His first goal for SAFC, actually, pretty neat for him. And if you read any of SAFC's recap, my recap, anything, he talked about how there was a lot of emotion in that because of sort of what he's been through, missing about 2/3 of last year with an injury, not being able to contribute. And he also apparently had some family in the stadium there. So he got to celebrate, in front of them, score with them in attendance. So that was great for them. And finally, not long after, 65th minute, SAFC really completes the comeback, takes the 3-2 lead as the ball kind of just bounces around the box, and Alex Grieve is the one who ultimately pokes it in. I don't
know about bouncing. I thought it was a good pass from Soto, because you had Grieve there, and then there was another person behind. I'd have to go back and look at it. But Grieve directed because the pass was coming through the box, and he basically redirected it the other way past the goalkeeper. So
yeah, that was like a shot. I think it was trying to take a shot that just kind of went out of the direction, and Grieve was just able to kind of deflect it to another direction, and that caught the keeper out of it. He was like, no chance. So that's what your number 9s are supposed to be doing, poaching goals, and that's the strategy, whether any means necessary. But they were able, like I said, he was in the right spot, able to get it in, and because there weren't a lot of bodies on there, and it could have taken another deflection, but he was able to get it through that space, and he got that third one, and that really it kind of brought out the crowd back into it.
Well, yeah, I mean, within 20 minutes after halftime, all of a sudden you've turned a 2-0 deficit into a 3-2 win, or a lead at that point at least. So, like I said, tale of two halves, just completely different after halftime, with some tactical changes, with the added intensity, maybe with the benefit of SAFC being up a man for over half an hour there. Although I think it was Jorge Hernandez said after the match, they felt at least that it kind of wouldn't have mattered either way. That, like you guys mentioned, you get that first goal, you kind of have the momentum shifting onto your side. So they were, Jorge at least was saying it didn't really matter if they had 10 or 11 players. SAFC felt like it was going to get that win, was going to turn things around.
So, an interesting aspect of this for it here, the head-to-head between Colorado Springs, Switchbacks, and SanAntonio. SanAntonio's on I think it's 13-game not a winning streak, but
unbeaten streak, 14 games by my
14
count.
Games.
So
14 games unbeaten, and the last you have to go all the way back to March 23rd of 2019 for the last time that the Switchbacks won against SanAntonio. And to be honest with you, it was you have to go back to 2019 since it was the last time that the Switchbacks had scored in SanAntonio as well. So it did not start out well with them scoring in Kerr and Watts. We're kind of pointing that out like, hey, this is not something that Switchback fans have seen before, scoring in SanAntonio. But they did come back. Matt, your thoughts to kind of wrap up the Switchbacks, and then we'll go to Rafa for the next advertising break.
I mean, it's great that they came back. They did what they had to do. They kept the unbeaten streak here at home. Walking outside when I went to go check if Justin Dillon received our scarf, you can hear some of the fans that traveled tell one of the players from Colorado, like, dude, y'all guys are just so unlucky here. We thought you had it in the bag, but it's so unlucky that y'all can't win here. It's just y'all cursed. And I chuckled a little bit, and I was like, that's dang. But yeah, it's unfortunate for Colorado, but it's great that these guys pulled it together and came back with a 3-2 win.
And any final thoughts from you, Jonathan?
I don't know if we really want to dig into it, but something I thought was interesting after the match was assistant coach Freddie Herrera also said, we came out with a different way of playing today. The way we were building up was different than prior games. We came to that conclusion based on the players we have. We can change positions. Players who can play different positions allow us to interchange, to have more options. And I think he was responding to that mostly in terms of the goal scoring. And one of the things we've talked about so far this season is kind of, okay, well, there's not necessarily that one guy up top who is the focal point of the attack, who you can give the ball and you're very confident he's going to score a goal. So it's maybe kind of just a lot of movement, a lot of interchange. And I'm thinking, well, without sort of a true center forward, shouldn't that have been the strategy all along? But maybe I'm just too cynical. Everyone knows I like to be that way. So,
Rafa, your final thoughts, and then we'll do the advertisement for Diana, and we'll do that. I can read it if you'll just help me with her last name because I always chop it up.
Well, it was nice beating the defending champ. It's always nice beating the defending champ. So I know they've been bragging about it all year. Well, they got brought back to reality that they still can't beat us, and they won't beat us. And that mental block on them. So like I said, I guess it's a tough pill to swallow when you're up 2-0, thinking everything's going your way, and then that happened. I mean, it really, like I said, I think it really kind of killed their confidence from here. And like I said, right now they're sitting at 6 points, so we're sitting up at 15. So we're like I said, we're feeling good, and I think a win like that really kind of could set the tone from here on out after kind of blowing 3 games the last three. And also, I guess you can say is that I think is this the first game that we've gone with a man up, like I said, with the opponent's teams with a player down.
For this year, yeah.
Yeah.
Because I know that's kind of been our kryptonite.
Last year it was, yeah.
We beat
Recent
both
years.
kryptonites. We beat a
Last
bottom
2
league
years.
team and
Switchbacks
and
ain't a
you
bottom
did
league
the 10.
team.
Well, I mean, they're at the bottom of the table right now. So
They're the champs, man. They're the champs. Show them some
We're still
respect.
the champ.
hey,
But we always have that middle block. With team, like I said, when we're a man up and we really kill those games and choked on those. This one, hopefully, like I said, it's encouraging, and I think it led on to what for this game last night. I think your mic's off, Harry.
Have a question here for you, Matt. So the game against Colorado Springs, you guys were giving away some Jägermeister because of the Jägermeister Cup. Do you know who won it?
Nobody.
Oh, nobody did? You guys
Nobody
drank
won
it all?
Nobody won it. They're gonna we're gonna do another one coming up for the next home match.
So I will say, going over. Well, Jonathan, did you want to start out with the Jägermeister Cup injury report? And I know you put some nice words about the lineup. I put some nice words on social media when the lineup came out, and I was like, okay, this will be interesting.
Well, first of all, before we get into the match, since you have ever so kindly given me the platform here, I just want to say that like 10, 15 minutes ago, you were saying we're going to keep this a family-friendly show. I'll just say adult beverages, and all of a sudden we're bringing up Jägermeister, so that goes out the window.
That is a league sponsor of it here.
Okay. Still,
and everyone. I don't know if you've watched this. They have the Jägermeister. One of the sponsors is a tequila, like if you watch some of the other games. And then there is other adult beverages, beers and stuff that are hosted through there. So you got to give credit to USL. They're all NASCAR when it comes to their alcoholic beverages.
No outlaw beer or anything, Schlitz or...
They're very Robert friendly and Matt friendly, I'll just say.
Anyway,
hey, I got 3 of these in there, so we're great.
Anyway, yeah. So
we could have had shots tonight.
We could have. Why don't we, Harry? Anyway, okay. So Saturday, April 26th, yesterday, if you're listening to this live, or late Sunday night, first match of the USL Jägermeister Cup for SAFC and Phoenix. They're both new to the competition this year since USL Championship is new to it. I won't bother going into some of the nuances about this, some of the ways they do standings and whatnot. It's a little different. It is separate from the league, even though it's under the USL umbrella. But
Check
injury
our
report.
preview show on Saturday. We went into greater detail
That's
of
true.
it, the tiebreakers, the preview. So if you are able to go back and listen to that episode, first 10, 15 minutes, we go over the USL Cup, Jägermeister Cup, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, that's true. I forgot you guys did go over it yesterday. So injury / availability report. No changes. Still Lakava, Buckmaster, Suai. And like you alluded to, the lineup was 3 days after the previous match, understandably, a little different, a little experimental. The biggest things that I would note are goalkeeper Daniel Namani got his first professional appearance, actually, as a starter. He finally took the place of Richard Sanchez. And then also, this was the first appearance of the season for Shannon Gomez, also as a starter. We hadn't seen him up until this point this season for whatever reasons. I think we've heard some things behind the scenes that may have contributed to it. Things that aren't necessarily, reflect poorly on him or anything, just some circumstances. I don't want to be too vague about this, I guess. We've heard maybe he had a bit of an injury, a bit of a knock that he picked up, possibly on international duty, depending who you ask. So good to see him finally getting that first appearance, particularly because I'll just say, I feel like the wings and particularly the sides of defense are an area where SAFC has been a bit vulnerable early this season. So the more options you've got that you have confidence in, I would say the better. So there's that. And then also, for what it's worth, Dmitry Erofeev and Mohamed Omar got their first starts in USL play. They had previously only made substitute appearances, although they did also both start the US Open Cup match, which we went over earlier. Didn't go so well for SAFC. But yeah, and with some of these inclusions, it's also worth noting Richard Sanchez, like I said, did not start. Alex Cronale did not start. Jorge Hernandez did not start. All three of them had played every single minute so far this season for SAFC. So that came to an end, but they can still obviously carry that into league play. And also, for what it's worth, I put Osorio, I don't know why. Almir Soto is the other player who had started every match for SAFC, had come off and been replaced once or twice in there, but he was also kind of right up there with them in terms of minutes.
I'll just say the first half was boring as hell from both sides.
Yeah.
And the second half, I know we scored, but that was the only shot on goal.
Yeah.
From either team.
Yeah.
We get the win, and you get the rotation, which when I saw this, my initial thought was, we're not taking this cup serious, or we're not taking this match serious. But
neither did Phoenix, based on their lineup, for what it's worth. They made some changes to, my player to watch, Jurel Margarita, who had scored in 4 straight matches in all competitions for them. He started on the bench. So I even made a note of that in my preview. Like, who knows how seriously these teams are going to take this competition? Who knows how much they might change? We got the answer. Both of them wanted to make some changes. SAFC was understandable because they'd played 3 days earlier. I don't know what Phoenix's excuse was, though.
They had a week off, right?
Yeah.
They had a week off. And then they played a 17-year-old, I believe, one of their academies, I think, players started.
So the lineup, because we didn't actually go through it, Agudelo and Pacheco up top, Hankinson, Dimitri, Barone, Hernandez, Gomez, and then a back three of Tainer, Omar, and Osorio, and Damani in goal. It wasn't a poor lineup. It just did, it was one of those games where I thought it was going to end 0-0, and I thought it was going to go to PKs. And then, of course, the president of the one Agudelo fan club was all chiming in on the chat, as I saw here, because Agudelo did get the goal. Good goal. Turnaround, shot it. in the 63rd minute for that here. Kept a clean sheet again. It's hard for me to take a lot out of this game. It's a win. It's 3 points in in the cup, and I think that's important. Especially since New Mexico beat Union Omaha 2-1, and El Paso got by Texoma in PKs. So San Antonio is second right now at 3 points because goals scored is an important factor until head-to-head comes in. The other thing that you have to keep in mind here with the cup here is scoring goals matters. So if you are able to get some goals to build up that goal, not even goal difference, but just goals scored, that will help. And number two, if you win in regular time, you get 3 points as opposed to going straight to PKs and you get the 2-1 split. So to me, there's 6 group winners and there's 2 wild cards. So that is something to keep in mind here.
No.
Wait, there's a one Agudelo fan club. Yes, speak to Royce. Matt is the
And
secretary of it, and Robert.
I'm not the secretary of it. I have nothing to do with that club, bro. Oh my god.
The treasurer.
I want nothing to do with that club. Freaking y'all's president coming out for me after I'm celebrating Austin's loss.
No, I'm going to call bullshit on that because you weren't celebrating Austin's loss. You were celebrating, your MLS sweetheart's win. Let's be honest. You're wearing orange. You don't celebrate if Austin loses anybody else, but because
why not both?
It worked out.
I was celebrating both, man.
Although Matt did say he saw, some Austin fans crying or about to cry or something along those lines.
Oh, my brother was doing it. My brother was trying to force them to cry. Him and one of the Surge members, they saw one across the way, and they're like, "Dude, just relax. Like the game's not over." And lo and behold,
I did see some Austin fan that lives in Houston. Like, I'm not going to be an Austin fan anymore. I'm going back to the Dynamo, and I'm like, dude, why? They're both not very good teams.
Well,
although Austin's playing much better, yeah.
Taking consideration, a bottom tier team beat the number 2, so I'm just saying.
So, but as Jonathan mentioned here, pro debut, clean sheet for Daniel Nemani. Rafa, my question to you, because there's not a lot to take away from the game unless you want to pipe in something. Your thoughts on how Daniel looked? Because in my opinion, and I know this is going to sound bad, I'm not a fan of Richard Sanchez as the starter. Daniel, how did he do? I know it's against a lighter version of Phoenix, but your thoughts on Daniel and his performance as the starting goalkeeper?
He did really well for his debut. I mean, if you watch his tape, a lot of the especially corner kicks and balls sent deep, he pretty much handled them pretty well. Like I said, he wasn't fumbling through them. He was at the right space, right time. So that's a good positive there because that'll tell you if something happens to Richard. Daniel can pick up the slack, and that's the thing. You have to have a quality number 2, and like I said, for him to get a clean sheet on his first pro game, that's a big confidence booster, and that shows the coaches, hey, maybe be in contention. You never know. He could end up being a number 1. I mean, if he keeps on playing well and things happen. But like I say, we also have another goalkeeper on the way too,
Joey.
with Joey too. So, and we'll see how. Like I said, I'm sure Joey's doing well too when he gets to play. But kudos to Daniel. I mean, he did a great job. He was able to manage with the defense, kind of, really much. Like I said, I know Phoenix didn't have much firepower up top, didn't much threat, but still, you still got to play the game, and you still have to take care of business between the pipes. And like you mentioned, he did a great job, and it's something to be really proud of, and also gaining the confidence of the coaches, knowing that you can come in when needed, to take control of the defense and the team back there.
Matt, any thoughts on the the Rising match? I don't know how much you caught of it since you were cheating on San Antonio FC.
I was more listening to it, but I mean, they're just listening to it. They didn't sound very exciting. Like there's no enthusiasm. There's
No,
Rising
hasn't recovered from last year. They haven't recovered. They had kind of off-field issues with fans, kind of like San Antonio, and at least from the individuals that I've spoke with, they made some movement, but they haven't made the effort that SAFC has.
They had some issues right there in the center backs because they're down, right? Their center backs with injuries. I think they had another one went down last night.
Well, their star went down. Yeah, their star signing was it Papi Mar? Went down. Jonathan, you have something?
Not really. I was just kind of nodding. Pop My Boy, I think his name is.
Yeah, Pop My Boy. Yeah, that is.
Yeah.
So, but he went out right before the end of the first half there.
See, and that's something that SAFC. I think they started when we got the goal. We started attacking a little bit more to the middle, and I mentioned I think on a text about that. I said we attacked a little bit more, knowing that those two guys there are not center backs. And I think that's how Agudelo kind of took advantage of that. Granted, like on that play, it looked like he was going to play it back to Diego, and Diego was going to take the shot, but I think he used Diego as a dummy to able to kind of turn that around and take that shot. Basically, the defender blocked the keeper's view and able to bury it in that corner. So I think this finally, like I said, they kind of read on, like try to take advantage of that central defense. So they knew they didn't have a lot of experience.
Next up, Saturday. Jonathan, you making the trek out to the great state of Rhode Island?
You guys gonna pay me to do it? Because I'll do it. But
no, you got to go with your mom
to do it. Well, if they're
I don't think you can get
there. I mean, they don't have to come along. That's fine. No, we don't have plans to go up there. So
Well, it'd be tough to get tickets. It's going to be their home opener, which San Antonio does well for home openers. I'm going to try to see if I can reach out. It's going to be a 3:00 kickoff locally, so as opposed to the 9:00 kickoff. This one, we're going to be the first one on the match. Any ideas of get-togethers? Mid-afternoon on a Saturday?
Party at Harry's house?
I have. You want to get sick?
It's not going to be at the Rock.
They're not done, bro. They're not done. They need to let that kid rest.
They're going to be at the Rock.
I'll be at Fiesta.
Oh, that's right. So. Man, San Antonio can't get no attention from Matt, dude. Just I don't even know if they're Sancho level at this point.
Fiesta level.
Fiesta.
Houston's my Sancho right now, bro. SAFC, I'll be watching it while I'm at Fiesta. It's just I won't be able to do any watch party or anything.
Jonathan's the life of the party. We know that. So, and then after that, they come home, right?
Mm-hmm.
The 10th
week later.
Play Oakland.
Oakland Roots. Finish that series up, actually. Right? Yeah, finish that series up for that here. So, I guess we're up to final thoughts.
There is a rumor that, or I don't know if it's a rumor. I think they said they were going to give out scarves that game.
Because it is the day before Mother's Day.
Yeah, I think they were giving out scarves, but I can't remember.
What kind of scarves?
I don't remember if I heard it correctly. They didn't say.
Oh, shit. Look who this is. Jason Garcia, name from the past, dude. He's a Timber fan, right? Or Seahawks fan, some kind of loser from the Northwest at this point here.
Bro, how do you go from Sounders to
well, not Seahawks, not Sounders.
No, he was a Sounders fan.
Oh, was he? Oh, well.
He was a Sounders fan, and he turned Timbers. That's why that one I don't understand.
I miss Jason because we would meet at every once in a while. Well, wouldn't meet, but we'd run into we'd run to each other at the local hamburger place here in town.
Yeah,
Mike,
that's right, Mike. I know that. That's the truth. Yes.
I thought I
just don't know
heard
what the scarf
1,000
looks
get a
like.
scarf here. But yes, Jason, you do support local. I'll give you 100% credit for that.
Yes, he
for
does.
that here. How do we say with Matt supporting local? He does. He spends his time partly with us, but then he goes to Houston and associates with individuals from RGV. I'm gonna have to.
Hey, I support local. It's Texas, no matter what.
NFL draft. I think the big story: Sanders going 144. My Broncos did okay. Your
Drafting a
Chiefs,
punter.
A punter?
yeah, need a fucking punter, dude.
She just signed an ex-USL player.
They should have just grabbed Agudelo to punt for them or something.
Exactly.
We're not kicking field goals; we're punting. I could have went to Australia and got one of the Australian rules football guys. Jonathan, you're a fan of American football, right?
Does this facial expression not make it?
That's why I asked you.
No, you know which one shocked me the most? Seeing Ewers go all the way down to Miami. That one was crazy. I thought everybody was hyping him so much, and look where he went.
Tua does get hurt, so he may get some playing time.
He ain't much better.
And Tua's on the way out. He gets one more concussion. He's done. His career's over.
Come on, Jason. This is a horrible comment. Another dad seeking glory through his son because he's saying Dean
got
is
Super Bowl rings.
Dean is the famous version of LeBron. He's on TV more than Rafa is, which is hard to do. He's got Super Bowl rings. He coaches Colorado. He could go coach at any team. Just that doesn't make sense. If anything, his kids get inflated because of who his dad is. Because I'll even admit and that's why I don't understand why Colorado retired their numbers already. That's just asinine, even as a Buffaloes fan. That's something that Cowboy fans would do. For here, put it up there. Speaking of Cowboys, Rafa, how'd the Cowboys do?
Decent draft. I give it a B+. We got a running back. We got Jaden Blue from Texas. So excited about him. We got a really good defensive end from Boston College. I think he had like 16 and a half sacks. And then we finally got a fatties only from UCLA, 6'2", 343. No more tush push. So hopefully, but I'm hearing rumors that they might be trading for a veteran number 2 receiver. So we'll see what happens there.
Final thoughts. Oh, go ahead.
If I could rate the Cowboys, I'm gonna give them a C because they're gonna see other people freaking playing in the Super Bowl, bro. Because I don't trust y'all at all this year again.
Oh, we're not gonna get there yet. It's still a work in progress. So I'm not getting the hopes up.
Dude.
I'm not getting my hopes up. I'm not like
so which wide receiver did the Chiefs draft that's going to get arrested in a couple of years?
That's what I want to know. I'm not gonna lie. I'll take that. It's always happening.
It's April and the Cowboys still suck. Yes, 30 years and counting. Jonathan, let's get your final thought. We're right at an hour. I can't do it in less than an hour because then especially without Royce here, so I have to bend the rules a little bit.
Yeah, we did have a little more to go over this week when you include the little bit about Omaha and then obviously 2 matches this past week, just in the past sort of 5 days. So
did we really talk about the Rising match? I don't think we did.
We
There's
talked
really
about
much.
it. Not much to say about it, but it was something we had to cover. Anyway, I think for my final thoughts, I'll step away from the sports for a bit. I'll say this next Saturday, a lot of local elections going on. These elections have depressingly low turnout. So please, like, I was almost a little surprised today. I looked at what I'm going to have to vote for. It's literally just mayor, city council, and a local proposition for the Alamo Community Colleges. Like, that's 3 things. That is not bad at all. You can take a little time to do your research. Now, we don't have to talk about how many people are on that mayoral ballot. Something like 27, I believe. Maybe a handful
Yeah, I
of
was
them
about to say,
have
is
a
it?
chance to
No.
advance.
I think it's like 19 because 19 actually fulfilled it.
Okay, I mean, honestly, some of them may have said, you know what, I'm not polling, no one knows my name. There's no point in being
There's
on
going to be
here.
a runoff, but
Oh,
to
for
me,
sure.
to me, the important thing is the local city council making sure we have the right choices for mayor. Because as San Antonio knows, speaking about soccer, the Dynamo wouldn't be in Houston if we had a correct mayor at the time that brought San Jose to San Antonio, like what was going to happen for that here. So mayors matter. City council matters as well on being able to push local agendas, extremely local agendas for that here. So yes, please get out and vote. Early voting, I believe, is open now. If
Through
I think I
Tuesday.
saw is what through Tuesday. So yeah, get out and vote. If you just type in vote, voting San Antonio, there's a couple of websites that can tell you where your local precinct or where your early voting position is. Matt, your final thoughts. You already mentioned that you're not going to watch San Antonio and Rhode Island because you're going to go to Fiesta.
No, I'm still gonna watch.
No, you said you were going to listen.
No, I'm gonna watch.
Well, it's a 3:00 kickoff.
I get it. I'm gonna still watch wherever I'm doing. I'll probably be at home watching it before we have to take off to find parking downtown. So, yeah, I'll still be watching it.
You mean you don't know where all the good parking spots are at?
Isn't that the Flambeau
Why you
Parade
guys
that
throw me
night?
under the bus? I know where the good parking spots are. I just can't promote it.
I was just with a couple of Jaeger bottles.
I wish, bro. I wish I could. That probably helped me go through the night. But at the end of after all of it, yeah, we're gonna go out and go Fiesta for a little bit for the night parade. I think I have family playing in one of the marching bands. I think, but yeah, parade and then just see it. Hopefully, I can catch the game while I'm out there, or if I'm still home. That way, I can have something.
Rafa?
Final thought before, like I said, if you're looking to buy a home, make sure to contact Diana Fuertes. Like I said, you can call her. My final thought, just a quick thank you to the guys that brought the trumpet players and the trombone players for Wednesday's game. You guys killed it. Thank you guys. Hope you guys come again. So it was fun atmosphere. We were loud as hell. And also looking forward to this game on Saturday. SAFC likes crashing the parties for opening stadiums. We did it to Oakland. We did it to the Toros.
RGV.
Yep, and we're gonna do it to Rhode Island hopefully this Saturday too as well. So, so hopefully we get another 3 points. And like I said, and then looking forward for the game on May the 10th, which probably won't have a piñata because every time we have a piñata we lose. So we're gonna probably I'm gonna keep that tradition going.
Hey, I want to I kind of want to test the theory and buy one.
Don't be testing it.
I kind of don't want to risk it at the same time. So, yeah. Unless someone else buys it and that's how it works. I don't know. If someone else buys it and it works, then we're fine. But if it's because I'm buying it, then yeah, then we know.
And I'll get to join Nessie Club.
So my final thought's going to be, and Royce kind of brought this up on our show here. if you are in, Matt's going to be going downtown. If you are going to be going downtown for Fiesta or doing any Fiesta events, please do not drink and drive. Possibly hurt yourself, possibly hurt somebody else. Even if you just get a ticket, it's expensive. I know from personal experience when I was young for that in Colorado. Not fun for that here. Looks like Via Link has a $1.30 ride share service for a trip within its downtown per person. Call a friend, take an Uber, take a taxi that's still around.
Get a hotel.
Stay at just don't get in the car, in the back seat if you're not able to drive. Just stay safe. Please don't drink and drive for that here, and don't drink and drive any other time. But we do know during Fiesta that the Jaeger tends to flow a little bit more freely. To circle back to the Jägermeister Cup here, to circle that in. See, if you want to give us some props here, Jägermeister, we definitely wouldn't turn that down. Just please do that, and if you can, reach out to Royce if you have questions about Mike Taylor. Reach out to Rafa if you're looking to buy, sell, or just have questions about rentals or buying houses, that type of stuff here. And I've got to get the card updated for Raz, for that here Moments by Raz. For that here, we got to get her also on the sheet here to where we can kind of do a read for her somewhere, because she does a lot of great work at SAFC and elsewhere. And she was one of the originals on here. She's on our intro video, but we do need to also start giving her a read somehow where through the conversation. But that's going to wrap us up. Hope everybody has a great week. Be on the lookout for the preview show. I might see if I can reach out to the guys in Rhode Island, Raising Anchors, to see about doing kind of a preview show with them to kind of get an idea of Rhode Island, what they expect for the home opener with the Tide. I'm used to calling it Tidewater Stadium. I know they just sold the naming rights of it. I don't have that right off the top of my head. But thank you for everybody tuning in. Thank you, Jason. Hopefully you're doing a good time up there in the Northwest, in Seattle, Portland, wherever the hell you are. Mike, thank you for driving Jonathan safely back and forth to the games for that here. And Milana Cards. We ought to get a read for Milana Cards, because he's the one that does the cards, right? Of the SAFC players. We ought to reach out to him if he decides to turn that into a little bit of a hobby business for that here. We can get a couple of nickels in his pocket for that here. But thank you for everybody tuning in. What's Life Without Goals? We are out.